Well, welcome to the One and Only podcast. I'm Jason Jones.
I'm Todd Gossett.
And we got Todd right at a scratchy throat moment there to get us going.
Sorry
here.
about that.
That's all good. So I'm calling this the One and Only podcast because this may be the one and only of this particular type of podcast that we do. But we're joined today by Reverend Paul Allen, Regional Minister of the Northern Lights region, and lonely Aldi enthusiast living in eschatological hope that one day Aldi will make inroads to the inland Northwest.
That is good.
So welcome, Paul.
So the last podcast I did with you, the one thing you remember is my love for Aldi.
Well, I think about it every now and then because I've lived in places where we had Aldi, and yeah, it'd be nice if we had one too.
Are we looking for a sponsorship? Is that why we're doing this?
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, Aldi, send us a franchise and some money, and we will promote you as much as we can here.
The sooner
we're here not to they're good and they're cost effective.
There you go. Well, we're here not just to promote a German supermarket chain and hoping they come to this part of the world, but we're also here to talk about the region's annual fund. So to get us going here, Paul, what is the annual fund? What does it actually support?
Well, the annual fund provides operational support for the region's ministries, and it is a long-term fund for the region. So the region is supported in many different ways. Obviously, churches give to the Disciples Mission Fund, and that goes to support the region and also goes to support the general churches. The Christmas offering obviously goes directly to regional support as well. But those are for our yearly expenses within the region. The annual fund is that long-term giving where we actually receive that from a year-to-year basis. So right now, it's about 12.5% of our budget. Given to the annual fund, make sure that the region's ministries can extend for years to come.
Okay. So the region, why do we rely just so much on individual giving to keep things going? What's that all about?
That's the way that the region's been funded since their inceptions. The congregations and individuals who believe in the mission of the region, believe in the mission of the general church as a whole. So this the money that we receive, obviously from congregations, goes directly back to the congregations and support. That's what we use to help with the search and call process. That's what we use for things like church camps. That's what we use for retreats that we do, for the grants that we give, for all the operations that the regions are a part of.
Okay. Todd, you want to ask a question here? Go for it.
This year's theme, Shaping Tomorrow Together, what does that mean to you and to the people listening?
Well, Shaping Tomorrow Together, obviously, as a region, we're interested in what's going on in the present with our congregations, with the lay people that are within them, and with our pastors as well. And that's part of my job, is supporting those congregations, building collegiality with ministers, supporting them as well. But we also know that as a region, we need to look ahead. We need to do that long-range planning that every congregation needs to do. And in essence, the region is a congregation. We're a congregation that brings other congregations together. So we're doing that long-range planning to look to see what are the needs of our congregations going to be in the next 5, 10, 15 years and more. What are the needs of our congregations going to be in that same time period? And how are we as a region going to be better equipped to make sure that congregations, that pastors, that lay people have what they need to experience a relationship with God, to build their relationship with Christ, and to meet the needs of their communities?
Okay. Well, imagine if someone chose to donate for the annual fund, or to you personally, an elephant that you couldn't sell or give away. What are you going to do with that elephant?
Eat it one bite at a time. Isn't that the old joke?
I hope you have a big freezer then.
Exactly. I can't donate it and I can't give it away. That used to be a curse. Yeah, that was actually something that if I remember the story correctly, that leaders would give to people they didn't like. So
Okay.
I hope that's not the situation. But in reality, what would I do? I'd probably build a much bigger house because I'm going to need it to support that thing.
I think it'd be quite an entrance for you to visit congregations coming in on an elephant. That's
It'd be a rather slow travel. I think I don't know how fast an elephant goes, but I'm guessing it's slower than my SUV right now. So.
Yes. Yeah. You don't want to go to Eastern Montana on that. So yeah.
Can you imagine
Todd,
the hotels?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Todd, go for it. Yeah. Give us a question.
Yeah. Paul, if you could choose one song to play every time you walked into a room, what would be your walk-up song and why?
So is this like a song that's introducing me, or is this just the song I want to hear?
The song introducing you. Go for it, Todd.
Okay. Okay, so like I'm a wrestler coming in. This is the song that introduces me as I walk down the stage. We talked about this before the last podcast. I'm a fan of old school wrestling and stuff like that, and oh gosh, I think it would have to be something classical and something that really builds and stuffing like that, like Song of what is it, Song of Zarathustra, something like that. Something big and powerful.
Love it.
And then I walk in and everybody's like, "Oh, did this guy?"
Well, give us a story or two about how the annual fund helped a congregation or a member or a ministry in this region.
Well, that's a wonderful thing, is that as we were working on the annual fund this year, one of the things we talked about was we wanted to connect to some of the different ministries that we have inside the region and some of the folks that were truly helped by that. And so I reached out to several folks in different congregations all across our region to talk a little bit about it. We've actually got links on our YouTube channel right now, the Northern Lights YouTube channel. If you look that up, you can see little video vignettes that they have made about how the region has helped them. And there's several. The first that I like to talk about, I'm really excited about new church starts, and especially new church starts that aren't the norm. I think that as we look ahead to the future, we have to realize that church is not always going to look like the way we think church looks like, the brick and mortar building with the steeple on top, meeting on Sunday morning. There are different ways of doing church. And one of the most exciting ones that I found when I first got here is the Broadway Community Dinner Church, served by the Reverend Michael Cox and Naomi Cox. They are located inside of Seattle. They actually are housed in All Pilgrims Church on Broadway. So they're housed in another congregation, but their ministry is providing a dinner church to the economically disadvantaged inside of that area. And so they feed 70 people 100 meals every single week. They do a Christ story with them. They do this in an hour and a half period. And so they create a place where people can get food, where they receive resources that they need, where they can receive education. And also it's an opportunity to build community with those folks who desperately need it, folks who don't have that sense of community, that don't have that sense of support inside of these areas as well. So it is a church, it is a mission, it is a ministry, all wrapped up into one. And they do this on Monday nights at 5:00. I mean, can you imagine doing a church service on Monday night at 5:00? I don't know most of our disciples. That's not the norm for them, but that's the norm for Broadway Community Dinner Church. And it is a wonderful, wonderful way of supporting folks. And if you talk to Michael Cox about this, you can really see his passion for the dinner church idea, which is a very ancient idea. This is, where some of the, the first churches were dinner churches. Remember in the scriptures, they came together, they brought what they had, they fed one another. And that's where they began to talk about their relationship with Christ and with one another. We're doing something very ancient in a new way. And I think that is absolutely wonderful. The money given to the annual fund helps support building new churches like this and other new churches that are to come as well. Another opportunity is we talk about reconciliation grants inside of our church, and Inglewood Christian Church in Yakima is a great example of that. Their new pastor, the Reverend Dr. Christy Love, she has a passion for, again, reaching out to folks in their community. And they have a lot of Hispanic and Latinx folks inside of their community. And so one of the things that they wanted to do, building on to the ministries they already have inside of their congregation, is help with some signage inside of their church, on the inside, on the outside, making sure it's in English and in Spanish, because they have a large Hispanic Latinx community there. But also providing resources for folks inside of their community, but also their own members, to be able to learn Spanish, to have conversation cafes so they can speak to folks in different language and welcome them. And again, looking to see how they can help folks inside, that are around them find welcome inside of their congregation. It's a wonderful ministry that adds on to a ministry they've had for years, for helping people become citizens of the United States. So excited about that kind of ministry as well. The Reverend Paul Bowling from Anchorage, Alaska, talks about the work that they've been doing with refugees, especially Ukrainian refugees. They've been doing this work for years. If you've not heard about it, it is wonderful work that they do. And it's truly ecumenical work that they do as well. They work with the Catholic Church and with other organizations as well. They actually help house folks. They help them find furniture. They help them find jobs. They help them to become a part of the community that they're within. I can't imagine. I moved all the way from Alabama to Davenport, Washington last May. All right. And that was a huge move. Can you imagine moving all the way across the world to a place that doesn't even speak your language, and then finding the help and support of a Christian Church Disciples of Christ congregation there, who are not only welcoming you, but making you a part of their family of faith? That is amazing to me. All these are ways that you support the region by giving to the annual fund.
Love it. Love it. So what kind of things wouldn't happen if the annual fund disappeared?
Well, again, I said before, the annual fund right now, and just right now, it makes up 12.5% of our budget. All right. That's a pretty decent sized chunk of our budget. And so if, without the annual fund, we would have to reduce the ministries that we're able to give the folks inside of our region. So imagine if we had a region that didn't do camp every year. Camp is something that I love. It's something that I think that most folks in our congregations love. But if we don't have the money there to do camp, how would that affect our region as a whole? How would that affect our individual congregations and the work that they do with children and with youth? I think that would be a devastating blow. It'd be the same for any of these things that I talked about. All of these ministries are important because they all are supporting our congregations and pastors. And they're all there to make sure that people know the love of God in a myriad of different ways. So giving to the annual fund not only helps to fund these actions, but support new ministries as well. And that's going to be incredibly important as we move into the future.
Okay, great. And Todd, you want to give us a question?
We're going to have to get back to Inglewood, Broadway, and Alaska. But what would you say to someone who's never given before?
Please do. and honestly, what I would say is that by giving to the annual fund, you are giving to long-term support of the ministries within the region. And I'm not knocking the other giving that we do. DMF is incredibly important because it goes to help us and it goes to help the general church. The Christmas offering is one of the major ways that congregations and individuals give to the yearly ministries inside of our region. And we're very thankful for them and for what folks do for those. But the annual fund is that long-term giving. It's a way for us to make sure that our region is sustainable for years to come. Every single region in our denomination is doing this right now. And honestly, if you look at every single nonprofit, they're looking at doing funding this way. Because let's face it, we're living in a world where there's some economic instability right now. And so this is a way for us to make sure our ministries continue. So I would say this is a wonderful way for you to be able to give a gift that is going to help us in the long term. And no matter what the size of the gift that you give, It is incredibly important. And for those folks who give monthly or quarterly or yearly, but give on a regular basis, that gift just keeps building and building and building. That's the wonderful thing about this, is that this isn't just a one-time gift. Even if you give one time, it's not a one-time gift, because the money that you give keeps supporting the region.
Okay. Paul, do you or the region have a position on garden gnomes?
I, in fact, do. This is a point of contention in the Allen household, because my wife is Scottish and Irish, and so she is anti-gnome and pro-leprechaun. I have Danish and German roots, and so I am pro-gnome. I won't say I'm anti-leprechaun, but I'm a little dubious of them. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
So I am pro-gnome, but are not allowed to have gnomes inside of my garden because my wife will not allow them. However, I will say that when I was growing up, my grandmother had a wonderful illustrated book that was all about gnomes. And that was one of my introductions to like fantasy literature and stuff like that. So they kind of hold a really special place in my heart.
Okay. Part of me wants to say, you heard it first. Regional minister hates leprechauns.
I didn't say that. Did I say that? Just rather dubious of the whole pot of gold thing. I've seen the end of a lot of rainbows. Never seen a pot of gold.
I'm still waiting to cash in on that one. So.
I think it's false news. Yeah.
So if you're a character from Star Wars, which one would it be?
Oh, see, now you're really digging into the deep material with me here. Okay?
Yeah. Todd and I talked about this before we discussed. Yeah.
So am I going for the cool factor? Am I Han Solo? Am I going for the fresh-eyed farm boy, or am I realistic and realize, I'm probably the guy in the background, that's serving the womp rat, on a stick to somebody because I'm not one of the big stars or something like that. But if I had my druthers, who I would really want to be is Obi-Wan Kenobi. He is one of my favorite characters in the films. Always keeps popping back up. Is a wonderful story of resurrection, that there is something after, is a mentor, to the hero, but also a hero in his own right. If you haven't seen the Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus, highly recommend it. As an Obi-Wan Kenobi fan, it's excellent. So if I could choose, that's who I would be, but more than likely I'm the guy selling womp rat on a stick. So.
Well, at first I said Chewbacca, but then I thought, gosh, all that fur's got to be hot. And then, like, I'm tall already, and like if I was a foot taller, I'd be hitting my head and wouldn't fit.
A Wookiee with hair loss just sounds terrible too. I'm too short anyway. I'd be an Ewok, in that situation, and would look ridiculous. So.
There you go. And Todd, you want to ask us another question?
Sure. Who would win in a battle between a ninja and a pirate?
I think the ninja would, because as I was taught in the 80s and 90s as a child, ninjas are everywhere. So they always have backup. Right. So I think the ninja would win.
Well, I gave this some thought, and I thought, okay, just on pure skills, the ninja, but the pirate knows how to fight dirty. And that might be an advantage.
But ninjas fight dirty too. That was their whole spiel. They're not
really
honorable.
Okay.
They attack from the shadows. The pirate would probably be drunk. Now if they were at sea or something like that, maybe the pirate would have the advantage.
Has the
it's kind of like the whole alligator versus lion thing. Are they in the swamp or are they on the the plains there?
Okay. So annual fund, how can folks get involved? How can they give?
Well, that's a wonderful thing. We've made giving as easy as it can possibly be right now. So the first thing to do is to go to our website, northernlightsdisciples.org. If you want to go directly to the donation portal, it's northernlightsdisciples.org/donations. That takes you right to the donation portal, and you can give via credit card, you can give via PayPal, Venmo, the whole 9 yards now. Like I said, we want to make this easy. If you want to go old school, you can always send us a check, 4227 South Meridian, box number C615, Puyallup, Washington, 98373. Or you can also call us at the region. That's 253 893-7202, and we can help you over the phone as well. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to give.
Okay. If you are that pirate and you have a barrel of Spanish doubloons, does the region accept those?
I think we could find a way to change those. Yeah. One way or the other, we will make it happen. Yeah.
What's the exchange rate on that? Yeah.
I do think gold has gone down recently, but
okay.
I'm still not down. I'm not knocking it. So we'll take it.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you wanted to say about the annual fund, or while you've got us and the folks of the region here?
Well, again, I first of all, I want to thank everybody inside the region, not only for your giving to the region, but for accepting me, this first year inside of regional ministry. Celebrated my first year here on March 18th, which again, I will say is my wife's birthday. So I know my wife loves me because I was able to start my new job on my wife's birthday.
Yeah.
The wonderful welcome I've received has been incredible everywhere I've gone. And the new friends that I have made, the relationships that I've developed with congregations has been incredible. And I've seen the wonderful work that the Northern Lights region has already done. One of the first things I did was learn about everything that our region does. And so I experienced church camp. I experienced how we've used those reconciliation grants. I've experienced, Broadway Community Dinner Church, went to the retreat that we had for pastors. All of these wonderful events that show us how important the ministry of the region is. My hope would be that you would want to continue to support that. And my hope also is, that if you have an idea, if you want to talk to me, feel free to contact me. I try to make my phone number, my contact information as open as it can be. You can always call the regional office to get a hold of me as well. Try to get back to folks as quickly as I can, because I want to hear your ideas. I want to know what your concerns are, and I want to know how we can work together to build a better and stronger region. Part of that is by giving. We live in a world where, where our treasure is, our heart is also. I would like our hearts to be within the region and supporting the work and the ministry that we do here.
Okay. Todd, do you want to ask Paul that last question on our list there all the way at the bottom?
Sure. Give me an example of your most MacGyver solution to a problem you have faced.
I am the king of duct tape and baling wire. Let me tell you, I worked on a farm as a kid, during the summertime. And that's, some of the most fun I've had and some of the most frustrating times I have ever had in my life. But what I remember is I got an uncle and aunt that have a house in Michigan. And we went to visit them one year for Thanksgiving. That's kind of our annual thing that we do on Thanksgiving, is go with my mother's side of the family. And my aunt's dishwasher door, when you opened it, it would squeak really, really loud, and then it would just slam all the way down into the ground. Obviously something terrible was wrong with it. And my cousin Scott and I, we decided, hey, it can't be that hard to fix this. It's probably just the spring tension or something like that. We're going to figure this out. So we watch a couple YouTube videos, we get the tools out, we take the door off, we look for the spring and all this kind of stuff. And what we find out is that somehow there's a system of weights inside of that helps the door spring tensioner to kind of go down. So it's not just slamming into the ground, it's actually going slowly. Well, that weight is nowhere to be found. We're not going to go on Amazon or something like that and buy the actual part. We don't need to do that. And we're not going to a hardware store on Thanksgiving. That's craziness. So instead, we collected a bunch of change and we duct taped the change together, and we kind of shoved it into where that weight is, and an approximation of it. We tensioned the spring again. We put everything back. We lubricated it. Sure enough, that thing closed, went up and down beautifully. The only problem is evidently we didn't secure the change as well as we thought we did, because for years after that, when my aunt would close the dishwasher door, change would fall out of the bottom of it.
Well, it's like the opposite of a laundromat.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what are you complaining about? It's like a slot machine now. You do the dishes, you might get 50 cents. It works. It's paying you to do the dishes. That's amazing.
Well, there you go, folks. Paul Allen, Regional Minister, man with the answers here. So there's no problem he can't face and fix.
Yeah, I've got plenty of answers. I'm not saying they're great ones, but I got plenty of
It's like when the teacher says there's no bad questions. Yes, there are.
every once in a while. Yeah.
I'm going
All
to
right,
test
well,
that theory.
All right. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed this, guys. So, and I hope folks will be spurred on to give a little something to the annual fund, or a little more than a little something. So, thanks for being with us here. Any last words, guys?
Thanks for
Thank
doing
you
this,
all.
Jason. I appreciate it, Todd. It's great to see you both.
All right. This is
You as well.
the end of the One and Only podcast. Thanks for being here, everybody.